What's up, guys? Well, I would come on and do a video about yesterday's horrific events that took place, obviously, in Liverpool yesterday evening, in which Har was driven into a crowd of people at, the parade yesterday, for Liverpool winning the league. It's sad that, you can't even celebrate a parade without someone doing something like that. It's horrific. You look at I mean, obviously the authorities are saying they don't think it was intentional. This and this, that, and the other. But I think when you look at the videos, as distressing as they are, you can see that it was. I mean, everyone can see that it was a deliberate and intentional act from this. Obviously, this man that's been arrested, obviously, which they were very quick to confirm was a 53-year-old white British male from the Liverpool area. I think we all know why they've done that. I think we all know why they were very quick to reveal that information. Obviously, was to stop people from speculating. Obviously, they don't want people to be speculating. They don't want people to be posting any kind of incorrect information, sort of misinformation online, because I think everyone knows the problems that can lead to. Obviously, that speculation and things like that can lead to. And I think at the riots after what the Southpool incident last year, that is a prime example of what can go wrong if people start speculating and things like that. It can, lady, obviously, it can lead to a lot of problems. Lady! Fucking dog. It does me nerves every time I try to record. I've got a brother barking. Obviously, this is a horrific thing to have happened, and obviously, a horrible thing to have happened. There's no denying how terrible it actually was. The fact that people have lost their, we know that people haven't lost their lives, but it could still go that way. 4 people are still very, very seriously ill in hospital at the moment. We know that there were 2 adults, well, there were 4 people, 2 adults, 2 children trapped underneath the heart. I mean, when I saw them kind of putting that big kind of blue tent over the heart, I know they were saying that was due obviously because of the weather, but I actually sort of looked at that and I thought, were they putting that blue tent over the heart because there was actually someone, dead underneath the heart? I think that was what, my first thought. I have to hold my hands up and admit that when I first saw this, like when I first saw, I first saw this on the news, like my immediate thought was, this is going to be another foreigner that's done this. This is not, this is going to be a British person. It wasn't going to be a British person that had done it. It was going to be another foreign twat that was arrested for it. And I think I was kind of looking at previous events and kind of thinking about the fact that it always seemed like every time something like this happens, it is always a foreigner that's arrested for it. You never see that it's a white British person that was arrested for this incident. But on this occasion, we know it was a 53-year-old white British male, white British man from the Liverpool area that's done this. Obviously, I think at the end of the day, there's no, I can't see how the authorities can let this and go. It wasn't intention. If you look at the videos, you can tell that it wasn't intentional. It was intentional, rather. You can tell it was a deliberate, intentional act. There's no disputing that. There's no denying that that was intentional or it was deliberate or it was, that's what it was. It was a deliberate, intentional act, and there's no denying. Obviously today, all any of us can really do is, pray for those people that are still in the hospital, that are seriously injured. Pray that they make a full and fast recovery and that they do recover from their injuries. And, hopefully I mean, I did see a report that that an elderly man had been killed. A 95-year-old man had died in yesterday's incident. I don't know if that is actually true, but that was something that I'd seen. It's just. I mean, as I said, it is very, very sad that people can't even enjoy, a trophy parade without someone doing something like that, without something like that happening. I do feel bad for Liverpool because you think about the last time they won the Premier League in 2020, they didn't get a trophy parade, a big trophy celebration like that because of the COVID pandemic. Obviously the COVID pandemic was in full swing at the time. Um, and then obviously, this year they've gone, all of the fans have gone out to enjoy the trophy parade and celebrate Liverpool winning the league, and bam, that's happened. You know, it's like the Liverpool fans aren't had to break. You know, I mean, it must have been like so terrifying for the people that were there who weren't actually hit. But they must have been terrified. Like, I imagine that even now, like, people are still very shaken up, still very kind of in shock about what happened yesterday. I think a lot of people are shocked and appalled and disgusted and horrified by the events that happened yesterday in Liverpool, and obviously we pray for, as I said, we pray for those people that were injured and remain seriously, critically ill in hospital, and hope that they pull through. Hopefully they do make a full and fast recovery, you know, and obviously hopefully this isn't going to be another one of those incidents where we're talking about the fact that people have lost their lives. Because I don't, obviously, you know, I mean, is it? I mean, I mean, I mean, is it causing death by danger? Is it causing serious injuries by dangerous driving? Is it attempted murder? I would say it's attempted murder because he deliberately drove that car into those people that he did that. It was completely intentional. He had every intention of driving that car into those people. I see it as nothing more as being nothing more than attempted murder. That is what this is, you know. And I remember I was watching the news last night, and the amount of debris there was like bloody hell, you know. Um, I mean, obviously, like the fact that children have been injured in this as well, like that makes the situation even worse. Like the gravity of the situation even worse is knowing that children have been injured, um, in this atrocity and injured in that way. Obviously by someone who chose to deliberately drive that car at people. There's no disputing the fact that this was a deliberate act. I think we can all say, we can all look at that and think and look at it and see that it was a deliberate, intentional act from the man who did this. It's horrific that someone has obviously done this. Um, it just goes to show, like, the straight, like, how crazy things are, like, the fact that things like this can happen. And it's like, we've had, the incident at Southport last year, and now we've had this. I'm gonna say this was terror related. I did say at the time. Obviously, I posted a video about this after it happened yesterday, and I was, so I was saying at the time that it was a suspected terrorist incident, which is why the title of the video I put out yesterday was Suspected Terrorist Incident, because that's what they were saying. At the time, they were treating it as a suspected terror incident, but I think they've sort of said that this was, they've kind of said, this isn't terror, this wasn't terror related or anything like that. And I think we all know the only reason that they've said that is because they don't want people to speculate or be posting kind of misinformation online due to the trouble that can cause. And I think we all know full well the trouble that can cause. You know, the riots are, in the aftermath of the Southport incident last year are a perfect example of that. That is a perfect example of the trouble that speculation and misinformation and cause, it can cause very serious issues. And they obviously don't want, what they don't want, obviously, they don't want a repeat of of the riots and everything that were happening last year. I don't think anyone wants a repeat of that. Because there's no denying that all of the riots and everything that were going on last year were absolutely horrendous, and were just completely unnecessary. And we all know that that was due to speculation and due to misinformation being put out on the internet. That is what caused that. And obviously the police don't want that to happen again, which is why they were so quick to say that it was a 53-year-old white British male, so that people wouldn't speculate on that, so that people wouldn't, people wouldn't post misinformation online that would lead to, that would lead to a lot of problems. Because we all know that it would have led to problems, them posting false information online. That would have led to serious repercussions. So at least that might have sort of stopped, sort of prevented people from doing that, which is the main thing. But yeah, hopefully, as I said, all of those people that are still seriously in hospital, or critically in hospital, should I say, hopefully they get better, hopefully they pull through, and hopefully they will recover from their injuries, fingers crossed. We can do now but pray for those people right now, Um, I mean, obviously, when you go to something like a parade or something like that, you never think that something like that is going to happen. You never think that you're going to be caught up or injured in something like that. And you feel for the people that were there that were caught up in that. Well, it is an atrocity. That was caught up in that yesterday, or were injured. You know, to varying degrees in yesterday's incident. But yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. They do pull through. That's all we can hope. So I hope you enjoyed this little video. I thought I want to give my thoughts on that this morning. And I'll see you for another video soon. Bye bye.